The future of Phoenix Elementary is on the line tonight. It wasn't until late last night that they found a body here at this address. If you look behind me, maybe you can see it. It's this grayish house between the white one and the sort of darker tan house right there. Rodney Long was shot dead in this home just outside Bedford. Construction crews returned to I-235. It goes all the way back to the Holiday Inn to give you an idea of how extensive this area is. Now this is the tunnel. This is where firefighters have to squeeze through tiny spaces, through wall studs, through wires, often having to change directions, all in full gear and with an air tank on. So, for example, the DOT might come to, say, Northwest 128th and Hickman and adjust yellow light times as opposed to having red light cameras. If you remember, it was this same building that caught fire just a month ago, and now firefighters don't look to be finishing up anytime soon. Polls open at 7 o'clock, less than about a half an hour from now, about 20 minutes from now. You can kind of get that up real close to the camera. Nice and blurry and out of focus bacon, but still delicious. That makes no sense to me at all, but it's just kind of the unfairness we get here with Iowa weather, I guess, right? What better way to try Transit Week than by actually trying Transit Week? We're back on the hayride, back on the wagon again. Now, in the meantime, Hoffman suggests buying your ground beef in bulk or buying steaks now. From there, it was transferred to glass into what you see here. If you take your 5 most used incandescent bulbs, replace them with an LED bulb, you will save $60 per year. So about all those similarities, could they all just be coincidence? Well, you be the judge. Flowers or chocolate? Flowers?
Flowers are a big deal.
Or chocolate?
It's the single busiest day of the year.
There are really only 2 answers to choose from, right? Well, maybe jewelry. So how can you be more original? Well, there's chocolate you can write on and chocolate in a cup.
It's actually a molten cake with pudding in the middle.
And flowers come in different colors. Is that creative?
That smells so good.
I'm stumped. So if you're stumped like me,
we met on a blind date 40 years ago.
You go to the right source.
But you need to know your spouse. And Valentine's Day is a great starting place.
Dr. Gary and Barb Rosberg have been helping out couples for decades through syndicated radio shows and podcasts. And while they say flowers or chocolates are great, even little things like love letters or something as simple as an email or text message can go a long way.
I know that Barb keeps those. And those are keepsakes that she will be able to share long after I'm gone, to be able to go back and to remember.
Starting Valentine's Day right from the beginning doesn't hurt either. Begin the day with a phone message and go from there.
When a man steps out of his comfort zone, does something to show his wife that he more than loves her, more than honors her, he cherishes her, he celebrates her.
But most importantly, know your mate and know what they like, and just put some thought into it, even if it involves something as simple as flowers.
This one's called Wild Thing.
Or chocolate.
I don't make chocolate, I make happiness.
To get up and say, I am so lucky to be married to you. Those words and the kind relationship and that people have with each other is what really makes it fun.
I don't think we could have asked for anything better.
It was 1995 when 15-year-old Christina Fetters was convicted of first-degree murder in the stabbing death of her great-aunt, Arlene Clem. Now, almost 20 years later, Fetters has been granted parole to undergo cancer treatment in hospice.
It's very bittersweet. She's still not a healthy person, and I'm grateful that my sister will be able to spend this time with her and other family members.
The decision was made after more than an hour of discussion by the Iowa Parole Board, speaking with a doctor, Fetters' Aunt Darcy, and a victim. One of the board's concerns was Fetters' recent behavior behind bars. She had gotten into several scuffles with other inmates. In addition, she hadn't been in any reentry programs. The board agreed Fetters' behavior could have been because of her condition. While Fetters is receiving care while in prison, the board agreed she would receive the best care in hospice and would not be a threat while under close supervision.
Considering the medical needs and condition of Fetters, the parole board decided to go ahead and do a review, and that was the basis for the decision today to go ahead and authorize a release.
Shock, not because she was granted parole, because I kind of had a feeling that that was coming.
Shanna Sickles remembers the day that changed her family's life forever.
My dad called and said, turn the news on, you're not going to believe this. Chrissy just murdered Arlene.
Sickles says she wants her cousin to receive the help she needs, but says it's important to remember the victims.
My aunt was stabbed 17 times. She wasn't allowed painkillers, she wasn't allowed hospice, she wasn't allowed to say goodbye.
It's been long enough and it's time to let it go. I think until you have watched someone die of cancer, how horrible it is, how extremely painful it is. Unless you've done that, you can only have empathy and compassion in your heart for the family and for the victim. And for Chris.
Stephanie, about 10 years ago, Randy Belding purchased a toy racetrack for his son. After struggling for hours to put it together, Randy finally got it working. That was when he discovered the real fun wasn't with the toy itself, but putting it together. It's something most boys acquire early in life, a toy track with toy cars. But the day Randy Belding got one for his son Jay,
we just simply could not make it work.
Began with frustration.
He was a little disappointed.
It took a process of trial and error, but finally, Randy and Jay had a working track.
He drops the car and it goes through the loops twice.
But as with many young boys,
he just looks at me and says, "Thanks, Dad," and walks away.
Boredom set in.
This is a little disappointing.
But for Randy,
it just hit me.
Boredom made him realize the actual fun was in the assembly.
Hey, we both had a lot more fun figuring out how to make it work than actually watching the car go through the loops.
And so Blue Track was born.
You make the fun.
So when the neighbors started borrowing the track and some of the parents asked if they could buy some, we kind of figured we had something.
Since then, the Create Your Own Racetrack has found success. With its infinite number of outcomes of loops, turns, and obstacles, it's attracted hundreds to submit their own examples through YouTube.
I put 2 loops in it.
But as Blue Track has grown, so has Randy's son Jay, now 15 years old and in high school. And while he may now be too old for toy cars, his creativity lives on.
And when I get older, I'd like to do something like he does.
Now, Randy's Blue Track has even attracted the attention of ABC News and landed him in the finals of Walmart's Get It on the Shelf contest. He's down to the Final 4 in his category, which is Made in the USA. Voting finished last night at midnight Eastern Time, 11 Central, obviously for us. If he wins, he'll make it to the Final 5. The winner gets their product put on the shelves at Walmart. Stephanie.
I kind of want one for myself.
I kind of want to get a track for myself, too. It just, being there and the crashes were probably the coolest part, Stephanie. And just seeing all that kind of made me excited.
Exactly. We should get a couple for the newsroom. Give us something to do in the downtime.
That and some pets. We need some more pets here.
Pets, too. We'll work on it. All right. Thanks, Jason.
Clearly, traffic cameras in Iowa are a contentious issue. Just ask State Senator Brad Zahn.
These have become more about revenue than they have been public safety.
The use of automated cameras on roads across the state is meant to increase safety, but the Iowa DOT says there may be better ways.
It's kind of time right now.
Traffic Director Steve Gent and the DOT will present proposed rules to a legislative committee regarding evaluating traffic safety measures.
In the last 3 or 4 years, a lot more cities have started using them and a lot more locations. And so the DOT felt like we needed to provide some sort of oversight.
These rules will require jurisdictions that want or have cameras to submit an annual report next spring at the earliest. The DOT will look at crashes, speeding incidents, and of course the impact of the cameras.
The proposed rules really create a process for cities or counties who want to use automated traffic enforcement systems on how they will go about getting approval to use those.
The DOT would then evaluate that data and see what the most effective way is to make the roads safer.
To determine what is the critical traffic safety issue.
So, for example, the DOT might come to, say, Northwest 128th and Hickman and adjust yellow light times as opposed to having red light cameras. In addition to that, the DOT says they'll also consider safety measures like additional auxiliary lanes if, say, there's a capacity issue, and even increasing visibility of traffic signals.
Since the DOT cannot own or operate any traffic cameras, nor does the DOT receive any funding, we're more objective. And I say we, meaning DOT, we're more objective when we can look at these.
Well, I think it's a good first step. I'm still not going to give up my fight to completely ban them statewide.
Any visual, Sergeant?
Step inside the Mirage Lab at Iowa State.
Sir, please step out of the vehicle.
And you'll see how the lines between real and virtual,
sir, this is your final warning,
can easily become blurred.
It's very easy to get lost in the game.
Mirage, or
Mixed Reality Adaptive Generalizable Environment,
is part real life, part virtual, with its giant video screen, walls, hallways, and virtual characters.
Compared to video games, this is a very first-person experience.
And 24 sensors that track your every movement to the millimeter.
anything in this world that you need training on where your whole body's involved and there's a group of people, this is the perfect research facility to figure out the best way to do that.
Right now, they're running a checkpoint scenario where soldiers stand guard and evaluate virtual people coming through.
Joe, I just killed you. Yeah, I just killed Joe.
I could train you with a computer. I could train you just on a video game or a TV screen, but that's not as good if you have to get your whole body involved.
That ability to use your whole body has also allowed for many other possible uses for the Mirage Lab, like physical training and first responder training with an ambulance rescue scenario, allowing medical personnel the chance to work under close to real-life circumstances. But those with the lab say the possibilities for the future seem limitless.
5 years from now, I can imagine walking in here and it's the holodeck, pretty much, from Star Trek.